Hey there, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Kristen Z with you here on Facebook Live for ABC7 News. Another day where we can gather at this time and kind of share how our day has been, any insights we might have as to the latest developments on the coronavirus and how we're coping with that here in the Bay Area as far as what you're seeing with the shelter in place, social distancing, and ways that we can all get through this, even with a little levity, we hope. So today I started us off with a question that I posted on Facebook asking you basically, how do you know if you have cabin fever? Because we saw that trending on social and people were kind of posting funny things or, I know I'm going stir crazy one. So here are some of them. One of you, and this is Dolly Faye Ivy, you said, when my pot holder says stay home. That's when you know you have cabin fever. That's really cute. Thank you very much. Oh my God, look at this one. Michael Wilson Crunchies, take a look at what you posted. All right, your cat's looking like it's got cabin fever as well. I shared a picture that I took of my, is that wisteria, guys? It's my plants. Yes, thank you for my producer chiming in saying, yes, Kristen, your knowledge of plants is not so good. It is, in fact, wisteria. But I did think it was really pretty. So I started doing that, taking pictures of the cherry blossoms and just the, lilies and all the flowers that are kind of coming out. And I think for me, that's a way of just finding a little beauty in nature and finding a little solace in that, there is still a lot living around us, a lot of life to appreciate, a lot of natural beauty to appreciate, and maybe now is the time we kind of slow down and appreciate that as most of us are working from home or sadly, some of us are not working. I am coming to the office every day, and so in a way that gives me a little more a sense of normalcy, even though things are so abnormal and unusual in the way we are doing them and bringing you the news these days. But anyway, thanks for sharing some of your pictures and anecdotes. I always appreciate that very much. So, of course, this has been another unprecedented day as more news continues to break here in the Bay Area. And I want to bring you some of that right now. The numbers continue to grow in terms of coronavirus cases, and we'll dive into the details in a little bit. Right now, what we're going to do is take a short little break and then come back also on air on ABC7. So we'll be coming to you both on Facebook and on air on ABC7.
Do you want to acknowledge Jackie and just tell her we're coming?
All right, another unprecedented day. All right, folks, we will be talking shortly with Peninsula Congresswoman Jackie Speier. She's been hard at work on the stimulus package, and as you know, it's on the verge of passing after they reached a bipartisan deal late last night. So the votes will be coming, but what's in it for you, right? If you're an individual or family or someone who's been laid off or not working, or if you run a small business, what's in that package that will help you? So we're going to address that to Congresswoman Jackie Speier. And so send your questions. Go ahead on Facebook. If you type it in, I will be able to see them right here, and hopefully we'll be able to get your question answered. All right, so folks, are we on air and on Facebook at the same time here? All right, we're still on Facebook right now only, so thank you to the hundreds of you who are with us right now. We appreciate that. We want to bring you some of the latest news here in the Bay Area with regard to COVID-19. I don't know if you heard, but a lot of the counties around here in the Bay Area announced jointly that the schools are not going to open until May 4th at the earliest. So that's a new announcement. Many schools were hoping in a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, when kids get back from spring break. And that appears to be not the case because the public health officers have now gotten together and said May 4th is the earliest. So you parents are going to want to take note of that. I want to bring you some headlines right now. Congress is close to passing that $2 trillion economic stimulus package. More on that in just a moment. Governor Gavin Newsom has announced much needed financial relief for people here in California.
And I'm very pleased that Wells Fargo, U.S. Bank, Citi, and J.P. Morgan Chase have all agreed to 90-day waiver of payments for those that have been impacted by COVID-19. And that's an important point to make.
This 90-day delay is limited to mortgage payments and foreclosures, but note Bank of America was not included in those banks that are going 90 days, and the governor called it out. Bank of America agreeing to just a 30-day delay on foreclosures. Dozens of smaller state banks and credit unions have also agreed. As far as a pause on evictions for renters, Governor Newsom says they're looking at the legal limits of stepping in if action is not being taken at the local level. All right, so that's the latest on the state level. Canada is imposing mandatory self-isolation for those returning to Canada. And Britain's Prince Charles has tested positive for coronavirus. So far, nothing with regard to his wife Camilla and certainly the Queen. Just Prince Charles has coronavirus. Now, locally, 6 Bay Area counties, as I mentioned earlier, Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, San Francisco, San Mateo, and Santa Clara, are all keeping their schools closed until May 4th. That will be a disappointment, of course, to a lot of students and parents, but it is the prudent thing to do, as determined by the public health officers and superintendents all getting together. So May 4th. There are 1,187 confirmed cases now. That is up from 132 yesterday. That is just in the Bay Area. In California, we're in the 2,000 range. So as you can see, the Bay Area accounts for a little over half of the California figures. 27 deaths so far in the Bay Area. That is one more than yesterday. So do you have kids at home with you right now? If you do, talk to me on Facebook Live or YouTube Live and tell me how your kids are doing at home. I actually had the chance to interview a student journalist at San Mateo High School earlier today. He's also home, but he documented the moment as his school closed. I talked with him about his journey and broke some news to him as well.
There will be no extracurricular activities taking place beginning today. Stay safe, Bearcats. Wash your hands, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
On March 12th, 2020, the San Mateo School Board voted to shut down all schools in the district for what's now become 4 weeks in an effort to stop the spread of the coronavirus. I was actually working on a story with my friend Joe already on how my school was addressing the concerns of the coronavirus. I was going to do a report on how they were, sanitizing the school in a more extreme way, how they would, keep the virus from spreading without closing school. But then I got the announcement from my baseball coach that they were closing school. So my story was useless. So what I did next was really just do what I could to get a story out and document what it was on the last day of school, how kids were feeling before this situation happened. Because for me, and I know for basically a lot of students and educators, this has never happened before.
And since this video you made, the school closure has just been extended, if you saw a report, now May 4th at the earliest. So the reality of maybe not going back to school, the whole school. All right, thank you so much for joining us here on ABC7 News. You've been watching a news conference from President Trump. That is now wrapping up, and we have a lot to talk about with regard to some of the things he said today, including... Okay, so Facebook friends, we're now going to take you to that news conference to hear it.
Almost every single FDIC insured bank to make these. I expect by the end of next week, we will have a very simple process where these can be made and dispersed in the same day. So this will be a very simple system to get money into small business hands. For companies that don't qualify that, we have a economic program of tax incentives.
All right, you've been watching a live ABC News special report on the White House Coronavirus Task Force briefing. We heard from President Trump, and now Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is speaking to the media. And of course, we will have all those details for you on ABC7 News at 4 o'clock today. But for now, thank you so much for joining us here on ABC7 News. By the way, this is continuing to stream on ABC7News.com and the ABC7 News app if you wanted to continue to watch the president's news conference, and now Treasury Secretary Mnuchin is speaking. But there's a lot to dissect there because, as you know, congressional leaders have agreed on a bipartisan deal for a $2 trillion relief package. The Senate is ready to vote shortly, maybe today. The House is looking at taking it up tomorrow, but under circumstances that are a lot different than business as usual. So joining us right now is Peninsula Congresswoman Jackie Speer. Thank you so much. It's always good to see you. I know you've been really busy.
Thank you, Kristen. It's great to be with you as well. This package is filled with relief for persons who are unemployed now, small businesses that have had to lay off workers. And it's also got a big boost for pharma companies to come up with a vaccine. So first and foremost, everyone is going to receive $1,200 a person up to a salary of $75,000 a year. If you're a couple, you will be able to make up to $150,000 a year, and you will receive $2,400 in a check. You'll also get $500 per child. There is also some gradation as it relates to between $75,000 and $99,000. So you would get less than the $1,200 in that setting. Then you move on to unemployment insurance. And in California, unemployment insurance now is about $450 a week. That's going to be augmented up to $600 a week for unemployment benefits based on what your income was at the time. Beyond that, we're going to be able to provide for small businesses. And there's two great programs here. One is if you retain your employees, you're going to get a tax credit for the cost of that payroll at the end of the year, or you can get an SBA loan. And once you get that loan, it will be forgiven if you retain your employees during that time frame. As it relates to your 401ks and your Irish, you're going to be able to take money out of those accounts without penalty for the purposes of getting by during this difficult time. You're going to have 3 years to repay that. So that's another great benefit. Student loans. Student loans, there will be an automatic no interest for the next 2 months. And if you want forbearance, you could be provided that as well, but you'll have to apply for it. So there's a lot of very important elements and all of our constituents have been asking for as I've done these town halls. And by the way, I'm doing another one at 4:30 this afternoon.
Right. I know you've had to adapt too in the way that you connect with your constituents. So that town hall is very interesting. I want to ask you a question that our Facebook viewer, Georgia Busby Stallions, is asking us on Facebook of you. She's asking, what assistance is there for self-employed people who don't qualify for unemployment?
Very good question. You are going to be covered. So those in the gig economy, those who are self-employed, are going to be able to receive benefits under the unemployment system in the state of California. You're going to would be making, but for the coronavirus. But for the first time ever, we're providing unemployment insurance for the independent contractor.
Oh boy, we're running into a few technical issues. Missed the last part of that. But Congresswoman Spear, also there's another question. What help is there for renters? I only see help for homeowners.
So there's actually a lot of help for renters right now. There is a Bay Area-wide restriction on evictions. And I think that there's an expression to be accommodating for 1 month's rent, but I'm not absolutely certain about that. That's being assistance in terms of taking money out of your 401k or your IRA. You're also going to be able to access any kind of health care without any cost relative to
Some darn technology issues that we're encountering right now. Oh, you're back. All right. I think we're going to have to say thank you so much to Congresswoman Jackie Spear. Unfortunately, that signal got lost there, but we appreciate all the information she had to share with us. She is also pushing to include in that bill protection for consumers who can't get refunds, such as from cruise liners due to COVID-19. The House is set to vote tomorrow. We're going to take a quick little break for you on air, but on live stream, we're going to continue. And of course, we'll try to get that connection reestablished with Congresswoman Jackie Spear. So continue to send us your questions and hopefully we'll get that back for you on Facebook Live, YouTube as well, and here on air on ABC7.
We are in commercial break.
All right, bring the Skype back.
We did not, but I think she disconnected with us.
Well, try again. Just try to. Okay, hey, folks. If you're still with us, we're trying to get Congresswoman Jackie Speier back. What you gonna do? I think there's a lot of demand on bandwidth right now, and I've noticed a lot of little glitches because the whole world is kind of living on technology right now, all these platforms. So it's making it just a little shaky. So we'll see if we can get her back, because you were sending some really great questions that we want to continue to ask of her. And, you know, this $2 trillion stimulus package is the largest that Congress has ever taken, bigger than any wartime stimulus package ever. So it's a lot. There's a lot in there, including support for corporations that some Democrats were unwilling to support without appropriate or equal support for the small business and the workers. And also there was some concern over the oversight of how that $500 billion would be spent that goes to support big companies. So, all right, so we'll see if we can get her back. Are we not? Okay. So what should we do next? Which piece?
30 seconds.
Okay, well, we were running that on Facebook Live. Now we're going to put it on TV? Yeah. Okay, so you just want me to add Libertas to that package? All right, we're back on air. Sorry, our conversation with Congresswoman Jackie Speier was cut short, but we will get her back another time. And as you heard, she's doing a virtual town hall at 4:30 today, which you can certainly join her on that platform and ask your questions of her. Okay, so folks, do you have kids home right now? Remote learning, not at school? Well, talk to me on Facebook Live or YouTube Live and tell me how your kids are doing at home. Are they, you know, adjusting to the remote learning well? Are they going stir crazy? So let me know. But I had the chance to interview a student journalist at San Mateo High School earlier. He's also home, but he documented the moment his school closed. I talked with him about his journey and even broke some news to him.
There will be no extracurricular activities taking place beginning today. Stay safe, Bearcats. Wash your hands, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
On March 12th, 2020, the San Mateo School Board voted to shut down all schools in the district for what's now become 4 weeks in an effort to stop the spread of the coronavirus. I was actually working on a story with my friend Joe already on how my school was addressing the concerns of the coronavirus. I was going to do a report on how they were, sanitizing the school in a more extreme way, how they would, keep the virus from spreading without closing school. But then I got the announcement from my baseball coach that they were closing school. So my story was useless. So what I did next was really just do what I could to get a story out and document what it was on the last day of school, how kids were feeling before this situation happened. Because for me, and I know for basically a lot of students and educators, this has never happened before.
And since this video you made, the school closure has just been extended, if you saw a report, now May 4th at the earliest. So the reality of maybe not going back to school the whole school year, how are you dealing with that? How are you processing that?
Oh, did they get extended to May 4th? I didn't know that. Wow. Wow. Well, I've been dealing with it. I honestly have just been going through the motions that my school has been telling me to do.
Yeah, that's not easy, but some of you are sharing your stories. Bob Madsen, you say, yes, you have 2 kids in high school as well, and they're both adjusting pretty well. That's good to hear. And Diet Star, you say your kids at Milpitas Unified, and they have online classes. That is good. A lot of the school districts were really ahead of it and kind of figured it out. So the kids really did not have to pause in terms of their learning. By the way, that student journalist you saw, Edward, his dad, Dr. Vernon Huang, is an anesthesiologist at Mills Peninsula Medical Center. He's also a Navy reservist who's deployed to the Navy floating hospital, Mercy. And here's that part of our conversation.
I'm very proud of my dad, and I'm very grateful for him and basically all doctors and healthcare workers across the country.
Your dad has a message for you that he sent to me. He says, "Tell Edward everything has been running very efficiently despite the speed of this. It appears we are well stocked and not to worry." All right, so don't worry, Edward. We want to thank your dad for his service, and you did a great job with this video storytelling. And I guess the only thing I have to say is when you're ready to apply for a job, check into ABC7 first, okay?
Thank you. Okay.
All right, take good care. Yeah, thank you to Dr. Vernon Huang for your service. We wish you well. Be safe out there on the Mercy. And yeah, Edward, I mean it. When you're ready to go into the journalism world for real, we'd love to have you here. All right, as we go through this pandemic together, some people are trying to pull positives out of the majority of our state working from home. A viewer named Carol posted a great suggestion on our Building a Better Bay Area Facebook page. Take a look. She basically says the Bay Area has proven we can work from home. It's improved traffic, air quality, and lowered crime. All true. She asked, what if we could maintain the benefits by staggering work days? This would take a lot of planning, but it would certainly improve a lot of aspects of daily life. So why can't we? Or can we? So let's bring in Jim Ratu with Civic Makers to talk about that. They're a group we've chatted with before. How are you doing, Jim? All right, Jim, we're working on your audio, but I want to let folks know that Civic Makers, they focus on helping cities and organizations find solutions for common problems. So, you know, they're kind of futurists in a way, and they bring in a lot of different stakeholders to look at how can we do things better. Just because this is the way things have been done before does not mean we have to continue down that road. Maybe we can build a new road. So we'll have that conversation when we come back. All right, hey, Facebook friends. Boy, you can see this has been kind of a rocky 20 minutes. That is one of the challenges in what we do. Things don't always go as expected. Sometimes the technology doesn't go your way. Sometimes you lose a shot, a signal, and then you just kind of carry on best you can. So we thank you for your patience. As I'm trying this out, you know, this is an experiment for us to go live on Facebook and on air at the same time. You'll see that sometimes I'm even a little confused as to whether I'm talking to my Facebook audience or my live on Channel 7 audience. So, you know, and then sometimes I'm stopping right in the middle of a sentence to go back on air. So yeah, thank you for hanging in here with us. You know, we're doing the best we can. Let me read us a few more of your responses that you've sent in about how life is continuing for you, your kids. Tina Lugin Lorenko, you say, yeah, you got 2 boys at home. Teachers in our district are doing a great job. Some little kinks here and there, but for the most part, it's been pretty successful. I think the hardest part is the social aspect. I would totally agree with that. I don't know, you know, if your kids are at that age where they just really have to be with their friends all the time. I have to say I'm fairly, I can't believe I'm saying this, lucky that my kid likes Fortnite, because in the past I've always tried to pull him off of Fortnite, right? Say, go out and hang out with your friends in person, like face to face. But now, Fortnite is great. They stay connected, they're talking, they're playing the same game, they chit chat, and they have a great time connecting that way. So if you can believe that, for the first time, Tiger Mom is easing up on the time restrictions on Fortnite. All right. Okay, we're about to go back live on ABC7 on air, so let's do it. Welcome back. We're now able to bring you even more content now that we have this new platform at 3 o'clock every day. That means we get more from our special correspondent, Dr. Alok Patel. He's part of our coronavirus team of experts. Every day, he's going to talk directly to you in a segment we're calling Doctor's Note. Today, Dr. Patel is talking about chloroquine. A man died after taking something that has a similar name, chloroquine phosphate, thinking that it would protect him from the coronavirus. As you know, President Trump had talked about chloroquine in one of the news conferences. It appears that that man took something used to clean fish tanks. It's not a pharmaceutical.
This is Dr. Alok Patel, and on today's COVID-19 Doctor's Note, we're going to talk about chloroquine, the drug President Trump called a game changer. But the truth is, we don't have enough data to say that, so the public should not rush out to get this drug. Chloroquine's been around for decades to treat malaria and is FDA approved to also treat lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. Now, chloroquine's safer counterpart, hydroxychloroquine, has been studied in the lab and possibly may have effect against this virus. French scientists also looked at using hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin and thought that this was helping hospitalized patients with COVID-19. But this was a very small study and does not mean the drug is safe and effective for everyone. Yet, people are out there trying to get it thinking it's going to treat or prevent COVID-19. I've heard reports of lupus patients who couldn't get their hydroxychloroquine prescriptions filled because supplies are short. And we're hearing cases of overingestions, like an Arizona man who died after taking chloroquine phosphate, a non-pharmaceutical version of this drug. It's getting completely out of hand. Some hospitals are trying it out and clinical trials are underway. But until we know more, please do not self-medicate with hydroxychloroquine.
All right, there you go. That's the doctor's note. We want to bring back Jim Ritu now with Civic Makers, because we were talking about a viewer, Carol, who posted on our Building a Better Bay Area Facebook page whether companies might start to stagger work days. I assume she means, not everybody goes into the office the same time, same day. Maybe some people just work from home and kind of alternating. So, Jim, do you see that after all this is over, and we hope that sooner rather than later, this kind of transformation where companies may have more people work from home, and, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I love her creativity. It's a great idea. Already governments espouse, they promote telecommuting. It's one of the things they do along with bike to work and ped to work. It's part of their alternate transportation messaging. And so they try to do that. I think if it came to a mandate on mandating that businesses could only work, say, any other day, then that would be a bigger challenge. Understand that, governments have tried to do this before, say with watering every other day on your lawns during a drought, and that hasn't been proven to be very successful. So, one of the things is Americans are fiercely independent. You might be balancing public benefit with individual liberty and freedom. And more often than not, Americans like their individuality, freedoms, and liberty. And so I think a lot of people would balk, especially small businesses, at being told when they could work.
Yeah, indeed. But one thing's for sure, I think we're going to be transformed in so many different ways that we can't even foresee right now. So, Jim Ritu, we're definitely going to want to keep this conversation going. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we also want to thank you for joining us on this new experimental interactive show every day, 3 o'clock on air and on our live platforms, Facebook Live. Some of you had great questions today. We thank you for that. YouTube Live, ABC7news.com, and the ABC7 News app. We'll have more news for you at 4 o'clock. World News Tonight is coming up next.